gonna get started with our seed starting tutorial. What you're gonna need is a seed tray. They come in all different shapes and sizes, from bigger ones to smaller ones, just depends on what you wanna work with, and also how often you want to bump it up in your transplanting. I like to start with a bigger tray. This is a 50 cell seed starting tray versus something like a 188. This way I don't have to transplant as much. So while it is gonna take me more trays to get started, I have less work moving forward. Most of the time I will take these guys and transplant them directly into their final destination, or just one more transplant after that. So this is the base of what we're gonna be working with. We're gonna fill this with soil and plant into it, but we wanna make sure we're taking care of the drainage and also the watering for our seeds when they get started. So we're gonna put a liner underneath them. These liner trays come in two different options. There's one with holes and one without. With holes, obviously you're gonna have more water drainage is going first through these and then through these. That is gonna come into play as the plant ages. The longer that it's in here and developing roots, we don't wanna trap too much water, we want it to be flowing through. So when a plant is a little bit older, we're gonna switch to these. To get them started though, I like to use the no hole, and that's because I can do bottom watering instead of overhead. So what that means is for the first at least couple weeks to get them germinated and established, I am going to lift my seed tray up, add water to the tray itself, and then let this rest back down. That way the plant is wicking up like a sponge, the water that it needs. So it's sitting in water, but I'm not filling it up or anything where it's drowning. I'm just filling a little bit of water up. That will help them and protect them rather than going on top where you could wash away a seed or have too much pressure at that small spot of growth. So bottom watering is how I like to get my seed starts, most of them. So this is what we're gonna work with for now, and later we might change over to this before transplanting up. To get started, we're working with our potting soil mixture. This is a Pro Mix blend. You see it right here behind me. I've used lots of different Pro Mixes over the course of the years. It's just the best bang for the buck when it comes to a complete soil that we don't really need to mess with. Potting soil is very dry and dusty, so be careful if you're wearing contacts like me. It can get painful in the eyeball. But it's not just dirt. Potting soil has these little white flecks. This is vermiculite and perlite. It's a volcanic substance. It's meant to give it some porousness so it drains well. It's got a little bit of compost in it, so it's meant to give a good start. But when it comes out of the bale, it sometimes is very solid. And anything that's something like this clumpy wise, if we don't do anything to it, we just leave it and plant into it, that is hard for a plant to break through as a newborn, especially to start setting roots. So we want to give our plants the best chance of survival and the easiest chance of survival to get established and get growing quicker. So what we need to do first before we fill our seed tray is break all this stuff up. So I like to just literally take my hands and rub it through, get rid of any of these. If you are working on a brand new one that's still like pretty big clumps, you can take a spade or a trowel and really break it down. I also use just a good old-fashioned ball peen hammer and get out some rage every now and again. Whatever you gotta do to break this stuff up so it's nice, dry, fluffy soil, filling up your seed tray. Once you have that ready to go, it's time to fill. For efficiency, rather than using that hand trowel, you can either use your hands and dump, or I like to use a feed scoop. This is something I bought at the feed store down the road, used to open up and do like chickens and cows and stuff. It's just a good big scoop to fill the tray. I take a couple big scoops just to get it started, and then I'm gonna use my hands to move it through. I want every cell on the tray full of soil. I don't want any airspace at all, but I'm not gonna take this as is and start planting into it. I want to tamp it. So what that means is I'm going to let it rest and bang it down. That's going to create the settling that it needs, so I know that these are all full. Inevitably, there's going to be a little bit empty space that I need to go back to, and that's where I'm going to top it off and re-level. This I will take into the greenhouse for our next steps. All right, now that we've brought our prepared seed trays in with soil, we're going to dampen them. Unlike prepping containers for transplanting or potting up, when we're starting seeds, we do not want the soil to be saturated or even super damp. We just want them lightly moistened enough so that the seed will stick to the surface, because some of our seeds are surface sown, And by the time I'm done with that, I'll be ready to actually plant into our prepared trays. Our tray is ready to go now, so I'm gonna get started by creating the holes or the dibbles for the seeds to go in. If our seed packet says to surface sow, we're not gonna do this step. We're just gonna go straight to putting a seed in the center of each of the cells. Most seed packets rather tell you seed planting depth. Could be a ½ inch, could be an inch or two. For the most part, what I like to use is either a pencil or if you are in an ag program like I am, we use old welding rod out of our mechanic shop. It's just about the same diameter. I like to just use this. And when I'm doing dibbling, I'm not just poking a hole, I am poking and rotating. That way it creates a nice even opening for myself. And the goal is for it to be in the center of each of these cells as much as you can. If you're a little off, it won't hurt anything. But if you are consistently off on the edge, what you're doing is forcing the seed to work a little extra hard to get established on growing. For it to be way over here and not have all of this room in a symmetrical, even fashion to spread out, you're just kind of putting a little bit of a restraint on its growing habit. So try to keep it in the center so it has the best chance of survival and thriving. Once we have all of the seed cells dibbled, we are ready to start planting. So I'm gonna take my seed packet, I'm gonna dump a few out into my hands. These seeds are pretty easy to hold onto because they're fairly large, but some seeds aren't. If you're unable to grip with your hands, you can do a couple of tips. I've used a pair of tweezers before to pull. I've also used a kebab skewer or something like this with dipping it in water to kind of help it magnetize and move for you. There's also seed little containers that you can put them into and drop in by shaking like a little sprinkler shaker. You just gotta find what works for you. The goal is to get 1-2 max per hole. Now that we have seeds in every hole, we're ready to finish our planting. As is, it would be okay, but a good way to keep everything secure and ready to go is to lightly cover them up with some vermiculite. So what I have in this bag is just vermiculite, which is a lot of what you're seeing here as kind of that rocky mineral material. And I'm gonna use this little baby food jar as a sprinkler to just lightly cover what we have planted. Now we have an option to either put this directly into bottom watering or to also put it on top of a seedling heat mat. Some seeds like that extra heat to get them started, so just read the back of your seed packet to make that call. Either way, this does need more water within 24 hours to get started. And then we're just checking for germination sprouts as we get going. We'll film a different video about recognizing sprouts coming up shortly. Good luck and happy planting.